Guys, happy Thursday and welcome to PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew McGinnis and I have Carmine Bianco and Mr. Bryan Leonard with us here to break down 3 games, sides, totals, props, best bets, promotional stuff, pretty much everything you can name here on PuckTime. We'll discuss it. Quickly, a huge thank you to all of you that joined me on my 5% play yesterday. Of course, all of you that joined me on that great special, Big Bet 20, which we have extended to today. It'll be expiring at midnight later on tonight or early morning tomorrow. So Detroit over 3.5 team total. That hits halfway through the game. You got to love when you can pick a spot for a team that has not won a game all March, and you find that spot for their team total plus 105. But they were playing Carmine's free space in the bingo card, and they were off 1 win against the Oilers. I didn't think the Sabres were going to win 2 games in a row. That's for sure. But we got some great games to break down here today. Looking forward to hearing what the guys have to say. Carm, good morning, sir. And what games did you choose for us today?
Well, Andrew, in that game, I did say Tage Thompson plus 175 to score a goal anytime. Tage did pick one up. I wore the Patrick Kane jersey, and he gets 5 points. He ties Gilbert Perreault for 35th on the scoring list. Big night for Kane there, and a big night for Detroit. Congrats to you on your play. At this point, before we get into the games, I want to issue a formal apology to the Anaheim Ducks. I don't know what I did to you guys. I don't know what I said about you guys, but you've haunted me all season long. Andrew, it's kind of like Pittsburgh for you a few years ago. I don't know what I did to Anaheim, but they are haunting me. 3-2 is probably the worst score. I had a couple of small plays. I had the over 6 in that game, empty net with about 4 minutes left. Hit the goalpost twice. Along with Utah minus 1.5 even money. An empty net goal would have at least made it a winning night in the NHL. But we'll move on to today. We're going to talk Vegas Columbus. We've got to talk Vegas because Bryan Leonard is on the show in his regular spot. We're going to talk Leafs and Florida. Unfortunately, Brad Marchand will not be playing in that one. Andrew, your props, and then we're going to finish it off with the LA Kings and the Washington Capitals, and hopefully some bets at the end of the show and throughout the show, Andrew, that can make some money for people. So I'll toss it back to you with this in mind. It was brutal watching the Montreal Canadiens last few minutes of that game. I was actually cheering for your Montreal Canadiens to pick up the win in regulation, which is the most important part. And then I don't know what happened at the end. Brandon Montour breakaway, 5 seconds into OT. How does that happen?
Well, the fan in me would tell you he might have been past the middle line off the face-off, but also the fan in me would tell you how stupid it was to line up 3 people side by side like that. But we did mention plus 310 overtime, so it was kind of funny, guys. I'm thinking to myself how much I'm mad about my team blowing a 4-2 lead, losing in overtime, only getting 1 point. But I was like, hey, on puck time, I did mention that draw bet. But that's yesterday. That is yesterday. Let's get to today, guys, here. Always love hearing Brian's thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights. They are playing Columbus. And I'll tell you what, Brian, I really hope Vegas beats the crap out of Columbus. Columbus was a great story. Columbus, of course, is competing with the Canadiens for that playoff spot. So on nights that my Habs aren't playing, I'm just cheering against the other teams that are near them. So good morning to you, Brian. How are you? What are your thoughts on this game?
I'm doing well, and being originally from Cleveland, I'm very happy about the way Columbus has played this year. They made my clients a lot of money. But yeah, I hope they lose tonight too, because I'm going to be on the Vegas Golden Knights. Both teams have fared well over the last month. Expected goal share, Vegas comes in at 54.90, Columbus 51. The Golden Knights are just 14, 12, and 4 on the road, and they're going into a pretty good home ice situation in Columbus. 26 and 4 at home. They've been very good at home. And I've talked in the past about these teams, the younger teams. You start winning at home, and then when you expand and you start winning on the road, and then you're a playoff team. And so you can't ask for anything more out of Columbus. It's been a great season for them. But as I said, I'm not picking them in this game. I think it's a tough situation for them. You know, Vegas had won 7 of 8 before back-to-back losses to the Kings and Penguins. In the previous meeting, Columbus completely hustled the Knights 2-1 for an overtime road victory. I watch all the Knights games, and that's one of the worst performances of the year. Columbus hasn't played a true home game in over a month, over since the beginning of March here. So to be our first game back, we always like to fade that situation. They were involved in the Stadium Series with the Red Wings, but it really wasn't a true home game, as it was played in Columbus and it was played at the football stadium. So this is a tough spot here for the host. And after the previous meeting, the team was very upset, as I mentioned. So you got a team in Vegas who, to me, is the better team. I think pretty much everybody agrees that they're a better team. The lines maker tells you they're the better team, but they're off back-to-back losses, and those memories of the way they played Columbus last time. And if you remember, that was right before the four-team break, the four-country break. And so they were on a bad losing streak, and Columbus was one of the teams that helped them in that regard. Now they're playing a lot better. The line is reasonable. I like Vegas here.
It is reasonable, Brian, and the thing is that people look at this Columbus team and they have been a nice surprise this year. They were comfortably sitting in that little wild card spot for a little while here, but I look at this Vegas Golden Knights team. Number one, off a loss, you kind of want to back them, but number two, excuse me, guys, the goaltending and defensive ability that they have. I just think that Columbus is a team that I just don't trust them on a consistent nightly basis defensively. That's the issue, right? How many games this season has Columbus been able to win where they didn't score 4 goals? When you look around, I mean, some of their wins that they have, pretty much all of them, like I'm looking at over a small scale at least, 5, 4, 5, 7 against the Rangers. This team either has an offensive explosion or they get beat. And I think the Vegas Golden Knights are a team that can take on a team like that, control the pace, control their own end. Vegas has a great decor, and right now they're injured a little bit, and even still, I think the average height of a defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights is like 6'1", 6'2", like 225. Yeah, like these guys are huge, Brian. So I think it's going to be really hard for Columbus to generate offense. I do like Vegas overall. But, one thing I've been doing a lot lately, Brian, and, I've talked so much on the show about team total overs, but a lot of times what I've done now is move towards the team total under market. That's what I'm going to do here with Columbus. I'm getting this price from a minus 170 to a plus 105. And so I think that when Vegas wins games, I trust them to keep things under for their opponent. It's a little bit correlated, I think, team total under for their opponent when they win. They're not like the Edmonton Oilers that you could pick them to win tonight and they'll win 6-4, but when the Vegas Golden Knights win and have success, I typically expect them to play well defensively. So Columbus team total under 2.5 goals at plus 105. And Carm, as Brian stated, they are the home team tonight, but sometimes the home team isn't in the best situational spot, so it might not feel like a home game for them. What do you think about this one?
I'm going to muddy the waters a little bit more because Brian likes Vegas in this spot. You like the Columbus team total. I'm not taking Columbus to win the game. And I know, Andrew, you're putting your bias aside in the sense of you want Vegas to win this one. I get it from a fan's perspective. I'm just looking at the first period of this one. The best team in the NHL at home in the opening 20 minutes is the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are 16-5-9. So in 30 home games, they have only trailed at the end of 20 minutes in 5 games. They are plus 125 at home. Vegas Golden Knights, and that's plus 13.82 units, which is tops in the NHL profitability wise on first periods. Vegas on the road, 8, 12, and 10, minus 7.6 units in the opening 20 minutes of a game. So we can take Columbus here, 1-0 at the end of the first period, and then Vegas comes back, wins the game 4-1. Brian's happy, you're happy, I'm happy. There's a way that we could all win this one, but I'm taking Columbus plus 125 first period on the money line. Brian, any rebuttal on that one before we get to game two?
No, but my cat wasn't very happy with you. But no, I've got nothing on that one.
The cat's like, come on, Carm,
That's
come
it.
on. Let's all be on the same team here tonight. Why are we going to
That's
go
right.
against
We're a team here.
you? Come on now. First
You-
period, at least, for
If you
Carm.
get a
First
duck,
period.
if you get a duck, I'm going to be worried. Maybe I'll get a duck as a pet. Because it's not me owning the duck; it's them owning me. Because yeah. Anyways, I don't want to even talk about that. Andrew, what are we talking about next? Brad
I think
Marchand?
a duck outside is going to get you as a pet. They're not going to be the pet. They're going to get you as the pet. All right, guys. Next one here, pretty interesting because we've got the first time these two teams have played all season. The Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. Taking a look at this one here for these two teams. The Panthers off that loss against the Boston Bruins. Previous to that, they did defeat the free space on the bingo card, the Buffalo Sabres. But we ask ourselves, how much does that mean to us? What do we really think about that win, beating the Buffalo Sabres? I know it doesn't really matter to me. When it comes down to it, despite dealing with injuries, this team, the Florida Panthers, has been playing really, really well. And pretty much their first eye-opener was potentially a flat spot against the Boston Bruins on the road there. They had a good start. They go up 2-0, and then all of a sudden, Boston puts 3 in the third period. And, that's the kind of stuff that Paul Maurice won't live for. That's the kind of stuff that Paul Maurice will not be able to stand for, looking at his team blowing a lead the way that he did, the way that they did, for them to beat the Oilers, beat the Flames, beat the Lightning, beat the Jackets, beat the Sabres, and then to just absolutely gift wrap in the third period the game to the Boston Bruins. They won't be too happy with it. Now, this Maple Leafs team, they've talked timelessly about how they've been living out of a suitcase, guys. You've heard the players talk about it. I miss my dog. I miss my family. I miss this. I haven't been able to sleep in my own bed. We've heard all kinds of excuses. So there's going to be two ways we can go about this here, guys. We can go about it as in these guys are happy to be home. Their last game was on Monday. It's now Thursday. They're motivated as hell. Or they're getting a Florida team that was in Boston, probably went over to Toronto the next day. They blew a third period lead. They're motivated. And they're probably the best travel spot team out of these two teams, despite Toronto being the home team. So in the previous game, I stated that sometimes the home team might not always have the best advantage. And I'll tell you, I had a 5% play on the Leafs on Monday. Watching them blow that lead 3-0 and having to win in a shootout was very stressful. But that was a very typical end of a road trip type of game. To see a team do. So they lose at home, the Leafs to the Sharks. Then they lose to the Knights, the Avalanche, barely beat Utah. I'll tell you what, guys, give me Florida here. Give me Florida, the road team. I know Toronto has played well at home. I do understand that. And I know they're going to be rejuvenized and they're not going to be able to accept the fact that they blew that third period lead. But right now, I prefer a more motivated Florida than a motivated Toronto. Carm, what say you?
What say me? First indication, I look at, when you see a total like this, 5.5, and you see these two teams and you see the Leafs first game back off that road trip and you think maybe the legs aren't there. Maybe Florida takes advantage of them. With the, obviously with the short trip from Boston to Toronto, and we see some goals in this one. But I look at the Leafs, sort of their long-term numbers at home, as far as totals go, and in years past, it was always uh, Toronto games at home go over the total. Leafs score in front of their fans. And while they're doing it, they're playing better defensively. Berube's got him playing better hockey at home. He's trying to mold this team into a playoff type team instead of just a good regular season team. This total sits at 5.5. I want to take the under because Toronto at home this season, I'm just going to bring up these numbers real quick. Toronto at home this season is let me get this up here. There we go. Toronto is 11-20-1 to the over. So 20-11-1 to the under. Most units lost for at minus 11 units. So if you're betting Toronto overs at home, you're losing money this season. Basically through their 20 some odd games at home. We don't see Brad Marchand first game for Florida without Ekblad, who's been suspended for 20 games. We'll see. We'll see how this Florida team plays. But Florida on the road can play a very good defensive game, Andrew. And no one has taken this night off. The importance of this game is not lost on either team. So no one is looking at here. Both these teams want to win the Atlantic Division because that first round is going to be killer for any team, for either one of these teams that finishes in second place to have to play Tampa Bay unless Tampa Bay wins the division. The Atlantic is a killer division where the first round, the number 2 and number 3 teams, unfortunately, one of them is going to be eliminated. I'm going to go under here and look for one of those 3-2 type games where there is no empty net goal at the end. I'll take 2-2 going to overtime. Brian, what about you?
I'm with you. I'm feeling the same way about this one. Huge advantage in recent play for the Panthers. Last 30 days in 5-on-5 play, their expected goal share is a whopping 58.48, just 41.15 for the Maple Leafs during that time, and yet Florida's 6-2-0 and Toronto 6-2-1. So Toronto's been a little bit fortunate to get that record they've had as of late. Huge game in the Atlantic Division. Florida's sitting there at 83 points, Maple Leafs at 81. But the year-to-date goal advantage is plus 24 for Florida. So they're the better team. They've been the better team all season long. The Panthers had a 6-game win streak snap last time out to the Bruins. They're also in the middle of 6 straight road games. They did play on November 27th, and Florida wins that game 5-1. Despite the fact that Toronto's permitted 3, 7, 5, 3, and 5 goals as of late, because of the importance of this game, I think it goes under. Florida is the team that prefers to play the under game. They're not going to let Toronto have any easy goals, and they proved last time they only allowed 1 to this Toronto team. I like Florida here, and but I like the under better, so I'm going to play the under and join Carmine on this one.
All right, guys, a defensive game. The importance of defense in this one, every goal will matter between these two teams. And, it's funny, guys, because I've been talking so much about the playoff race, obviously, because I'm following a lot closer as a fan as far as the wild card race. But, to the point, as far as the Florida Panthers and Maple Leafs are concerned, it's about where the pieces kind of fall in the puzzle for the division and the playoff spot. Many teams right now, especially in the Western Conference, they already know they're going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of kind of where they fall once the playoffs begin. So, getting that number 1 seed, I think, as much as, a red hot Ottawa team or, a Columbus or a New York Rangers, whoever, could kind of play upset role, I think that there's no bigger year that it's been important, especially with this format that's been going on the last 5 or so years, to win that division. Because if you don't win the division, you're playing Tampa Bay. And Tampa's no slouch. They added at the division, at the deadline, They've got a great goalie. They have depth. So both these teams are trying to avoid playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round and getting to play a wild card team. So last night, even though I didn't think it had a chance of happening after they were up 4-2 in the Habs game, I mentioned the draw because of playoff implications. Well, tonight, guys, in the Maple Leafs and Panthers game, the draw is plus 300. So if you did want to sprinkle on that one, it's not a playoff race, but it's a divisional leading race for these two teams. And every point does matter for both these teams. So wouldn't be shocked to see a draw either at plus 300. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys bet the draws ever? I've finally decided to get the cojones to start betting these, because at the end of the day, you can see that sometimes there's 5 minutes to go in the game and the players go out on the ice and they dump the puck in and they sing Kumbaya, and we both want to get a point. I mean, you can really see it sometimes in the NHL. It's bothersome that teams are packing it in. Like, did you guys know that the New York Rangers have, I believe, like 5 or 6 more regulation wins than the Ottawa Senators? Yeah, I mean, there's no 3-on-3 in the playoffs when it goes to overtime. It's 5-on-5. So for all these teams that have like 5 or 6 overtime wins at 3-on-3, it's good for them, but there's not 3-on-3 overtime. So, Carm, do you bet the draws ever?
Towards the end of the season, I do. When teams start splitting points, you look at like the Vancouver-Calgary game. It looked like Calgary had that game. Vancouver ties it up. It goes to OT, and then Vancouver gets the win on that, and they end up splitting points. Something that was, at the end of the day, beneficial to both of them. Not so much for St. Louis, who are probably watching that game, hoping one of those two teams wins it in regulation. And not you know, you look at the Eastern Conference, and you got Pittsburgh Penguins, who are 15th, second last, just ahead of the Buffalo Sabres, and they've gone to OT 19 times in 67 games. Almost a third of their games have gone to overtime. The Philadelphia Flyers 18 times in 66 games. The teams closer to the top, maybe not as much. You look at the Florida Panthers, only 9 games. And I think that is the lowest number. Actually, the New York Rangers at 8 is the lowest number of games that have gone to OT. So they get it done within 60 minutes. But, you know, sometimes when you're looking at regulation bets, you got to look at those ones there and try and avoid teams that habitually end up in overtime, whether they're on the winning or losing end of it, Andrew. It's interesting. Listen, the NHL is never going to change. They might tweak it a little bit, but I'm an old guy like Bry. Sorry, Bry, I got to mention you in this as well too. But I love the old 1 versus 16 and 2 versus 15 and 3 versus 14. The old NHL format with the best 16 teams made it in. I get it. It's all about contract money, TVs, and what have you. But with and travel, but they extend the playoffs into like the middle of June, anyways. Cut the season short 2 weeks and make it a 70 game season instead of an 82 game season, and go back to that format. But as it sits right now, we've got the Washington Capitals playing the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. You have the Florida Panthers playing the Ottawa Senators, and then you've got New Jersey. You have New Jersey and Carolina in the first divisional round, and Toronto and Tampa Bay in the first divisional round. It's tough, Andrew, to see it the way it is, but this is the NHL. They're not going to change. Bettman's not going to change it. So that's my little rant on that one, Andrew. And while I catch my breath, give us some prop play winners.
All right, let's do it, guys. And yesterday we did go 2-0 with the prop segment. And if you're following me on Twitter, you can see my handle right below my name there, @McGinnisPicks. I was tweeting out a bunch of player props. And I talked about the start of the season this year in the NHL that I'm only releasing sides totals, team totals, and futures. I decided not to give out props to clients. And a lot of that has to do with my volume with props. The success that I have with props is actually higher volume, but I didn't want to give out a lot to clients last year. So what happened was I would bet 4 myself and give out 1 to clients and go 3-1. And the 1 was to the clients. So if you guys want all my props that I like, I'm tweeting them out every day. Follow me on Twitter @McGinnisPicks. I'm giving you guys 2 or 3 here in the prop segment. And the first one I want to get to is Jack Eichel assist. I've mentioned it before on the show, and I've realized, guys, if I've mentioned a player prop on the show, why can't I mention it again? Because we don't have to be creative and find a new player every time. This guy at -130, they're not changing the odds, continues to rack up assists. It's now 4 straight games, 6 of his last 8 games, overall, he has a point. So he's getting goals as well, but 4 straight games for an assist at -130. And when I look at players like Jack Eichel, I look at players like Leon Draisaitl, like Nathan McKinnon. These guys are playmakers just as much as they are goal scorers. Think about how much people attract towards them, and it leaves people open. These guys are great playmakers, great passers. I'm looking towards Eichel to get another assist against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who I do expect to see the Vegas Golden Knights beat tonight in the NHL. Before we jump to the second prop, guys, that Big Bet 20 promo code was extended for one more day. We have hit 2 5% NHL plays in 1 week so far. Super excited about that. We hit a 5% play on Monday, 5% play on Wednesday with Toronto and Detroit on Wednesday. So Big Bet 20, 20% off a 30-day or a season-long NHL pass. Get all of my 5% plays. Get all of my sides, totals, team totals, props, whatever it is that I release, any futures, all that good stuff. So Big Bet 20 takes 20% off. And we are also right now number 6 at the website out of 30 handicappers in all sports in 2025. So having a pretty good run here at WagerTalk.com. Second one, guys, we're going big price shopping, plus 200 or higher on William Nylander to get a power play point. Excuse me. This guy right now, guys, 4 straight games with a power play point. And although today on PuckTime I said I lean towards the Florida Panthers side, I think that if the Maple Leafs score, it's going to be on the power play. Florida's aggressive. Florida takes penalties. And I think that right now, one thing clicking for this Leafs team is their power play. Plus 210 power play point. Shop around for the best price possible. This is a number I can't pass up on for William Nylander. All right, guys, that's enough of the props. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for many more that I release throughout the day and throughout the night as I see the lineups and all that good stuff. Washington Capitals and the Los Angeles Kings. Bryan, you've had a great read on the Washington Capitals this year. I'm envious of all the tickets you've cashed on them, but the Kings are a good team as well. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you mentioned it. The Capitals are on off 5 straight wins, the last 3 by margins of 3, 2, and 3. And it seems like every time they seem to be falling back to the pack, they right the ship and they start one of these win streaks again. So it's something that's been very good to them. And it just shows me that teams that can bounce back like that are teams that you want to look at to win it all. And so this Washington team is for real. So I've been very excited about that. They're an excellent 22-7-2 record when they go on the road, even better than their home record. Caps currently have a 12-point lead in the division. The Kings are a point out of second in the Pacific, and this has been a strong home ice here for the Kings. 21-3-4 on the season. And after coming up short the first 3 games of the month, they've now won 3 straight. I like both these teams. There's 2 very good teams. I like the defenses on both these squads. And you take a look over the last 30 days on 5-on-5 play, expected goals share for both teams is almost exactly the same, 53%. That's a solid number. So the line is about what we made it in this one, but the Washington offense seems to be breaking out a little bit as of late, and I would expect more open ice in this one. It's a non-conference affair. We see this a lot, as opposed to the Florida and Toronto game. We talked about going under. Those teams know each other very well. The games are more important when you're playing divisional rivals. Washington and Los Angeles only see themselves twice a year. I like the over in this game. I gave out the under in that Florida game. Let's go with the over here. And to get to your Eichel comment that you had mentioned, if he was playing in the NBA, he'd be a point guard. He'd be John Stockton. The guy just sits there, and he's got an eye to be able to hit these guys in stride on those passes. He's just a tremendous player. He doesn't score a lot of goals, so a lot of people don't pay him a lot of attention, but he is one of the best team players in the NHL.
And he makes it look so easy, Bryan. He's just so patient. He makes it look so effortless. Very good player. And he just needed to escape playing for Carmine Sabres just to get going a little bit here and then win a Stanley Cup. Carm, this is a great game, man. And as Bryan mentioned, 2 teams that don't play each other a lot, but 2 teams that I would say play a similar brand of hockey. Good defensively, but they do have some guys that can shoot the puck. What are your thoughts here?
After this season that Sabres had, I'm going to sort of abdicate the throne and just I'm going to jump onto the Anaheim Ducks bandwagon. If you're out there listening, Anaheim, I love you guys, man. treat me well. Anyways, Andrew, with that said, I agree with Brian. I think there's goals in this one tonight. I'm taking a page out of your book. Unfortunately, there's VIG attached to this one. The Washington team total is at 2.5, minus 140, minus 150, depends on where you find it right now. And I think they should get to 3 tonight. If you look at on the season, team totals, the Washington Capitals are 39 and 26 plus 10.8 units on team totals. Second only to, and I find this so hard to believe, the Montreal Canadiens are 40 and 24 on the team total to their team total this year, plus 11.75 units. So that comes into it. Washington Capitals on the road, 19 and 12 team total, 6.8 units of profitability on the season. So with Brian liking the over, I'm liking some Washington goals, and I'll take their team total over 2.5. I'll lay a little bit of VIG on it, medium VIG, I should say. It's not a little bit of VIG, and look for them to get to 3. Where are you going with this one, Andrew?
This is kind of awkward. This is a little bit awkward here. I was gonna. I don't even want to say what my play was going to be on this one.
This. Hold on. This is despite. Okay, this is despite. I'm taking the Washington team total, despite the fact that the LA Kings have only allowed 62 goals at home this season in 28 games. They play very good defense at home, but it's a non-conference game, and sometimes we see scoring in those. So hopefully that has removed some awkwardness. But go ahead, man. Let's go mano a mano. You're off a 5% winner last night. I have a 5% play for tonight, which I'll promote a little later on in the show. But what do you like here? Come on.
Carm, I'm going to cheer for your 5% play. And let's be honest here. That's the play that matters the most today. Unless Brian has a 5% play, then those two both matter today. I'm on the Capitals team total under 2.5 goals today at plus 110. So we are literally neck and neck in this one. And this, for me, when I look at the odds, guys, when I look at the team totals over, right, taking a look at the Capitals team total over 3.5 plus 155, the favorite LA Kings team total over 3.5 plus 130. That's not really in that sweet spot for me. When I look at team total overs, I like the plus 105s, the plus 110s, 115s, maybe the 20s. Once it gets into that plus 130, to me, it shows me this is more of a game that's going to be whatever team wins is going to hold their opponent under. And I think when I look at this LA Kings team, I think they're a bit more desperate right now. And the Capitals, hell, I mean, you bet against them on a nightly basis, you're pretty much bankrupt this year. But having said that, they've won 5 straight games. The last loss they had was on March 1st. It's been a little bit more of an up and down run for the LA Kings. They had a home and home where win one, lose one against the LA Kings. I believe they lost a game to the Blackhawks. I just think motivation is more there in this one for the Los Angeles Kings. They are playing at home where they've played some great hockey. I just think that we try and pick our spots with flat spots. I think this potentially could be one for the Washington Capitals. We saw the Avalanche play the Minnesota Wild the other day. The Avalanche are a fantastic team, just like the Capitals. A lot of people lean towards the Wild side, but couldn't get to the window because why do you want to fade a team like Colorado? And the game is low scoring and ends up in a shootout. So kind of thinking this one, we see LA play their typical brand of hockey, protect their end of the ice, clog things up in the middle, and they get the job done. Team total under Capitals plus 110. And the best part is, when you take a look at it, that first game of the day that we talked about with Columbus's team total under, guys, if I hit one of those, I make money. That's the best part about taking 2 props at plus money the way that they are. But Carm, we want to have all love here on this show. We never want to go head to head like that, but I know you don't want me switching my play on a moment's notice because that would just not be authentic. So let's get to the real.
No, listen, this is the way it should be done. Using the Teddy Covers, the Teddy Covers quote that he once had, if we all agree there is no market, the market is based on people disagreeing with each other. So if for some reason this game goes or Washington doesn't get the 3 goals tonight, and an Amazon package arrives at your house, you might maybe don't shake it. Maybe listen for a ticking noise or something, or send the wife out to pick it up. But with that said, all kidding aside, we're going to disagree at times on this show. God only knows Buster and I disagree many times. Brian and I are normally on the same page. It's been a roller coaster season for me, a good run, but the last couple of days, not so much. Just the puck luck. Brian, you're the perfect guy to have on the show today, because when we talk about puck luck, I feel like I've had the right side, but the puck luck has been missing the last couple of days. 12 minutes to get a goal, including an empty net, can't get it. 5 minutes to get a goal, and a couple goal posts on an empty net, they don't get there. When they bounce in for you, they're great. When they don't bounce in for you, it leaves you shaking your head and wondering how you're going to sleep that night, because you overthink things. Am I correct, or am I incorrect on that one, Bri?
I just don't know how you can live with yourself after telling his better half to go out and pick up a bomb from the front porch.
Crazy.
You're the nicest
Crazy
guy I've
talk.
ever met, very generous, and you come out here and okay,
Craziness.
let's bring some sense. Let's bring some sense to this. We're going to get to our best bets, and I'm going to go back to one of the games we talked about already. I just wanted to point out, thank you to everyone who joined us for that great baseball and hockey special. It was $600. You get both all the way through the championships of all sports. Unfortunately, yesterday was the last day for it. So if you were meaning to get it and you didn't get it, try calling the office, see what the girls can do for you. But either way, I'd like to thank everybody who joined us. We do have a 4% play going in the NHL today. I passed in hockey yesterday. Love this 4% play, and it's yours today up on the site. I've got 1 or 2 college basketball plays up. I know a lot of people are really into the tournament, the conference tournaments going on right now. So we got a lot of stuff up on the site right now, so go check that out. I'm going to go back to an earlier play, as I mentioned, and I'm going to take Vegas here against Columbus. Off of a couple losses, they were embarrassed last time they played Columbus. Great home ice there in Columbus. They've done so well for this Blue Jackets team, but Vegas, after the 2 nights, there are 2 losses in a row. A veteran team. Vegas gets it done tonight.
Go Vegas.
Brian, and I appreciate go Vegas. I appreciate all the complimentary words coming from you. I'm going to give you a heads up. Don Buster's heading to Vegas soon for March Madness, so you might want to head out to spring training a little early before he hits town. But with that said, we got a ton of comments, and I'm absolutely loving some of the comments in our chat today. B-Man said that I think if the Columbus Vegas game doesn't go over the total, I think he's buying maple syrup for everybody. How great is that? Maple syrup for everyone watching the show. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Fortunate talked about the fact that, Tankathon, a great site to check on teams who are tanking at this time of the year in the NHL. And then Russell Deck, who's in Boston, $60 to park a car to watch a Bruins game. That is absolutely hard. That's like Toronto prices. I would rather just park it illegally somewhere, get a $40 ticket, and you save $20. That's one way of getting it done, unless it gets towed, and then you're completely screwed. Anyways, 5% play up in the NHL tonight. I'm going to have some other plays that are 1% and 2% plays as well too, but I'm waiting for goalie confirmations first before I release any of those plays. So if you pick up the $39 one-day all access, you're going to get all plays today, and I've got a couple of Europa League plays as well too. One play yesterday in Champions League, 4% play was a winner. So we continue to move on and do well in soccer as well too. My free play is going to be the St. Louis Blues tonight, -120 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yes, I am fading the Penguins. They're even off of back-to-back wins. They're 3-7 their last 10. The Blues, not happy about last night's shared points between Vancouver and Calgary, but they are 7-1-2. They've picked up points in 9 of their last 10 games, and they have a rest advantage here. They've been off for 4 days since their last game. I'm going to take the St. Louis Blues to get the road victory tonight, minus 120. And Andrew, I'll send it over to you for your best bet and close it out.
Carm, I hope you absolutely crush your 5% play tonight. Best of luck to you. Brian, great to see you as always on the show. Baseball's around the corner, man, but keep crushing it on the hardwood, on the ice, as you have been. And it sounds like drinks are on you with the amount of packages you sold with that combo pack. So maybe I'll book a flight to Vegas for this summer. Come see you. But looking forward to a great, great day, guys, of games here on a Thursday night in the NHL. Only thing I'm going to promote, I got one play going tonight in the NHL so far. And, of course, that Big Bet 20 promo code. It's a great deal. 20% off. You guys choose. You guys be the captain. 30-day or full season long. You're going to save 20% off on either one of those packages. Cash at 5% play twice this week in the NHL. My show best bet is going to be the Edmonton Oilers minus a half goal at a nice and juicy plus price here. You can get as high as plus 150 at some shops. I'm seeing plus 145 at most to win the first period, for the Oilers to win the first period. Minus a half goal tonight against the Devils in the first period off that ugly loss. I think they'll bounce back, this Edmonton Oilers team. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hit the like button on the way out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on Puck Time.